worship must be according to the truth of God's Word, unmingled with falsehood. That must be the constant goal of the people of God in their worship. Truth unmingled with falsehood. Truth unmingled with the things of the flesh. Truth unmingled with the things of this fallen world, this world system that is under the sway of the evil one and is passing away. In our study of the prophetic types and symbolism of the Old Testament tabernacle, we now come to the area of the tabernacle called the holy place. The holy place of the tabernacle is described for us in detail in Exodus chapters 26 and 36. Those are two very long passages, and we don't have time to read them within the limits of these webcasts, but I would encourage you to read Exodus chapters 26 and 36 on your own. But let me summarize for you the description of the holy place that we find in those passages. The holy place was 30 feet long and 15 feet wide. The walls were panels made of a very durable wood called acacia. These wooden panels were covered with gold, and they were held upright in sockets of silver. The panels were made secure by bars that connected the entire structure. And over that whole structure, there were 4 coverings in layers. These coverings kept out all that was external. They kept out the elements of the weather. They kept out the sands of the wilderness. They even kept out external light. There was no light within the holy place, except for the light of the lampstand within it. The priest who came into the holy place had been cleansed of sin at the brazen altar. His hands and feet had been washed of defilement at the laver. He was now coming into a place where he was physically and visually separated from all of the outside influences that would distract or defile. There was not even light from the outside. The only light was the light ordained by God. And here the priest came to worship and to serve and to have fellowship with God. In the symbolism of the tabernacle, and in particular the symbolism of the holy place, God is articulating some key principles of worship. In this segment and the next, I want to focus our attention on 2 of them in particular. First of all, the holy place tells us that our worship should be untainted by the influences of the world. God is spirit, Jesus said in John chapter 4, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and in truth. Our worship must be according to the truth of God's Word, unmingled with falsehood. That must be the constant goal of the people of God in their worship. Truth unmingled with falsehood. Truth unmingled with the things of the flesh. Truth unmingled with the things of this fallen world, this world system that is under the sway of the evil one and is passing away. The holy place pictures for us the principle of sanctified worship. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Psalm 96, verse 9. Holy worship, sanctified worship, is a beautiful thing in the eyes of God, and it should be a beautiful thing in the church's eyes as well. No aspect of worship is a performance, because we are not an audience. God is the audience for all true worship. True worshipers do not lift up and exalt themselves. They exalt our great God and his infallible word. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Worship in a way that is untainted by the world, untainted by the flesh, untainted by the devil. The only worship acceptable to God is worship by those whose sins have been atoned for, and who have sought the cleansing of the washing of water by the Word. Now, as we move on through the history of Israel, we find that there were many times when Israel failed miserably in this. We find, for example, in 2 Kings chapter 23, that in the time of King Josiah, the temple that had succeeded the tabernacle was full of rubbish and full of pagan elements that had been introduced by subsequent generations under ungodly rulers. We read in 2 Kings chapter 23 that the Israelites had erected in the holy place of God booths where the sodomy and prostitution of the pagan religions of the surrounding nations was practiced, in the holy place of God. Josiah in his day had these things torn down. He had the temple cleansed. Dear friends, today the evangelical church needs to tear down its idols. Today so much of what passes for worship is only an appeal to the flesh. It is spiritual prostitution. It brings the world into the church. The mindset that dominates much of the church's thinking today is that we need to reinvent the church to appeal to the world. I once had a conversation with a man who told me that he had left the church, which he had long been a part of, because the pastor stopped the church's door-to-door evangelism efforts, and instead the pastor was sending church members out into the surrounding community to ask the unsaved this question: what do we need to change about our church in order to get you to come? Christ's true church must never ask the unbelieving world such a question. What we see in the symbolism of the holy place is the polar opposite of that kind of thinking. God has not changed. Therefore, the sanctity of biblical worship cannot change. And humanity has not changed. Man may think he has, but he hasn't. Man is still the same sinner he has always been. And there is still only one way to come before the holy and unchangeable God. Worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness, the beauty of set-apartness. That is the picture that we see in the holy place of the tabernacle. And this leads us to a second principle that is pictured for us in the holy place. It has to do with the Christian personally and individually. And the Lord willing, we will consider that second vital principle of worship in our next segment.